This is the part 3 of module 5, voltage source inverter feed induction motor drives. In this lecture, we will be discussing the regenerative braking of induction motor with the help of synchronous link converter and the closed loop control of induction motor. In the previous lecture, we had discussed the regenerative braking of induction motor fed from voltage source inverter. So we concluded that if the power supply is AC, available power supply of the drive is AC, then between the AC power supply and the voltage source inverter, there should be a converter which allows bidirectional flow of current. In earlier days, we used dual converters, but since it was very much complex and it's when the number of devices are more, nowadays we are using synchronous link converters in place of dual converters. So the dotted line, the portion shown inside the dotted lines is known as the synchronous link converter. That means it consists of a PWM inverter. Its name is given as PWM inverter 1 and a set of inductors, 3 inductors LS. A combination of this inverter and the inductors is known as the synchronous link converter. Now let's see how this synchronous link converter allows operation of an induction motor in motoring as well as regenerative braking. Now let's consider the circuit diagram. In the circuit diagram, PWM inverter 1 has an output voltage is equal to Vi and Vx is the voltage across the inductor. Vs and Is are the source voltage and source current respectively. So the PWM inverter, when the PWM inverter operates, inverter 1 operates, it produces a voltage Vi with less amount of harmonic content and its magnitude and phase angle will be such that the Vs and Is are in phase during motoring and at 180 degree out of phase during braking or during regenerative braking. Then only the motoring as well as regenerative braking operation will be satisfactorily happen. The same thing is written here. PWM inverter 1 is operated. PWM inverter 1 is operated to produce voltage Vi of required magnitude and phase and with low harmonic content so that the source voltage is nearly sinusoidal. Is should be nearly sinusoidal. Then only there will be less amount of harmonics, source current harmonics. Nearly sinusoidal and in phase with Vs for motoring and 180 degree out of phase for braking, thus giving unity power factor operation. Now let's consider the phasor diagrams. The first phasor diagram is for motoring operation. Here we can see that Vi, here Vi and Vx, vector sum of Vi and Vx will give the source voltage Vs. Vs is equal to the vector sum of Vx and Vi. The same is shown in the phasor diagram. So Vi plus Vx is equal to Vs. And in this phasor diagram, the voltage and current, Vs and Is, source voltage and source current are in phase, giving unity power factor. For this to happen, we have to produce Vi of desired magnitude and phase angle. By adjusting the magnitude and phase angle, we can adjust the angle between Vs and Is. So here it is adjusted to be equal to 0. The phase angle is equal to 0, giving unity power factor. So the PWM inverter 1 should be operated to produce Vi of desired magnitude and phase angle. Now let's see how the synchronous link converter makes the current, source current Is sinusoidal. Sinusoidal means it contains minimum amount of harmonics or zero harmonics. For this purpose, the synchronous link converter uses a PWM inverter and inductor. The output of a PWM inverter will not contain low frequency harmonics. In addition to that, inductors are connected in series in order to filter out the high frequency harmonics. So the IS will not contain any low frequency or high frequency harmonics, making it purely sinusoidal. Now let us consider the operation of the two inverters or synchronous link converter and PWM inverter and its closed loop control. Let us consider the steady state operation. During steady state, we expect that the power supplied or taken by the synchronous link converter will be equal to the power supplied or taken by the PWM inverter 2. That means during motoring, power flows from source to motor, and during braking, power flows from motor to source. And the power flow happens through the PWM inverter 1 and 2. So, as we said, during steady state, the power supplied or taken by synchronous link converter should be equal to the power supplied or taken by PWM inverter 2. But this is the case of steady state. But when the induction motor is suddenly loaded, that means the motor demands additional power to be supplied. Then the PWM inverter 2 will be taking a higher amount of power than the power supplied by PWM inverter 1. That means the power taken by the inverter 2 will be greater than the power supplied by the synchronous link converter. Then the additional power required will be supplied by the energy stored in the capacitor. So capacitor discharges. The capacitor voltage or the DC link voltage will be continuously monitored. Whenever the DC link voltage falls below the command or reference value Vd star, whenever the DC link voltage decreases below the reference value, then the controller operates to operate the PWM inverter 1 so that the value of Is is increased. When Is is increased, that means the power supplied by the PWM inverter 1 increases, thus making the power supplied by the synchronous link converter is equal to the power taken by the PWM inverter 2. Thus, finally, the value of Vd is maintained constant or brought back to the value equal to Vd star. Now we will discuss how the 4-quadrant operation of an induction motor drive which is fed from a voltage source inverter is achieved. That is how the operation from quadrant 1 to quadrant 2 is shifted, and then the shifting of operation in between the quadrants is happening. That we will discuss here. First, in order to shift the operation from quadrant 1 to quadrant 2, we have to reduce the speed of the machine. For that purpose, we will reduce the inverter frequency. As the inverter frequency is reduced, the synchronous speed becomes less than the motor speed, and thus the operation transfers from quadrant 1 to 2. So forward braking mode is achieved. In forward braking mode, the machine will be still running in the forward direction at a reduced speed. Now if we have to brake the machine to 0 speed, then we have to reduce the frequency again along with the voltage. So inverter frequency and voltage are again reduced as the speed falls to brake the machine up to 0 speed. Now the machine has stopped. Now we can run the machine in the reverse direction. For that purpose, we have to interchange the inverter terminal voltage. So now phase sequence of the inverter output voltage is reversed by interchanging the firing pulses between the switches of any two legs of the inverter. It's just like interchanging the changing the phase sequence of the induction motor. This is done by interchanging the firing pulses of any two legs of the inverter. Thus, we can achieve reverse motoring. This transfers the operation to quadrant 3. Now, we can either reduce the speed of the machine so that we can shift the operation to braking. This is done by reducing the frequency, or we can increase the frequency to increase the speed of the machine. So the inverter frequency and voltage are increased to get the desired speed in the reverse direction. That's how the all the 4 quadrants of operation are achieved in the case of an induction motor. Next, we will discuss the closed loop control of induction motor fed from a voltage source inverter. Here, the induction motor is fed from a PWM inverter. This PWM inverter is supplied from a DC supply, fixed DC supply. This drive is capable of operating in regenerative braking without any additional setup like synchronous link converter. Synchronous link converter is not required if the power supply is DC. And now we can see that this in this block diagram, there is an inner slip speed loop. Omega SL is known as the slip speed, where slip speed is equal to the synchronous speed minus the actual speed of the motor. Here there is an inner slip speed loop and an outer speed loop. The inner slip speed loop has a function to act as the inner current loop. This is because for a given value of slip speed, the current remains constant. Current will be at a fixed value. So, by controlling the slip speed, we can control the current. So, the value of slip regulator, or the saturation value of the slip regulator is set such that the drive is operated at the maximum permissible current, or the current limit. Now let's consider the operation, how it operates. The motor speed is sensed by the speed sensor. The speed is omega m, and it is fed back to the comparator, where the speed command omega m star and the actual speed are compared and the speed error is produced. The speed error is given to a PI controller, speed controller, and speed controller gives the output to the slip regulator. So slip regulator will set the value of slip speed such that it operates at the maximum permissible current. Then the slip speed is added to the actual speed of the motor in order to get the synchronous speed. This value of synchronous speed will determine the switching frequency of the PWM inverter. Then the synchronous speed is again given to the flux control block. The function of the flux control block is to produce the desired value of the voltage command, so that the drive operates at constant flux up to rated speed and at constant voltage or at rated voltage above base speed, that is V by F control. For V by F control, voltage and frequency are varied simultaneously up to base speed, and only frequency is varied, keeping voltage constant for above base speed operations. So voltage command is set by the flux control loop. Then the voltage command and the actual terminal voltage of the motor are compared, and the error is given to the voltage controller. Then voltage controller will decide the modulation index of the PWM inverter in order to produce the desired value of the output voltage. Thus, the drive will operate in the motoring as well as in braking modes. Now let's see what happens when the speed command is increased. If the speed command is slightly increased by the user, then the speed error, what happens to speed error? When speed command is increased, then speed error increases, or it becomes positive. A positive speed error will happen. Then the slip speed, the value of slip speed will be set at a positive maximum value. That means the drive will operate in the first quadrant with the acceleration. The drive will accelerate at its maximum possible current, so that the response will be much faster. Thus, the drive will accelerate, and the motor will reach the speed that is equal to the speed command, the increased value of speed command. Then if the speed command is reduced, then the speed error will be negative. So the slip speed will be set such that the drive will operate or drive will decelerate. So the motor will be operating in the regenerative braking mode. So drive shifts to the second quadrant for a small duration of time. So drive will decelerate, and it reaches the when it reaches the desired speed, a lower speed which is equal to the speed command, then again the motor operation shifts to the first quadrant. Thus, this system helps to operate the motor in both the motoring as well as in braking. Thank you.